אחת, ו... go.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mount Shasta Weekly Zohar Study Group. I'm very happy to see you tonight, especially because last week we didn't have a class. I wasn't feeling very well, so I had to rest a little bit. Interestingly enough, it was a very pivotal moment in the American history. We had the elections last week, so we're in a brand new reality today and this week. So very typical to the month of Scorpio, month of a lot of transformations and a lot of extreme changes. However, we learn in the Kabbalah that those changes, if we embrace them with wisdom, then actually can be very, very positive. And just before I start the class, I would like to read a quick excerpt from the introduction of the Zohar, for those of you joining us for the first time, to kind of set the tone how we approach the study of the Zohar. So here we go. Applying the power of the Zohar. The Zohar is a book of great mystical power and wisdom. It is universally recognized as the definitive work on the Kabbalah. And it is also much more. The Zohar is a wellspring of spiritual energy, a fountainhead of metaphysical power that not only reveals and explains, but literally brings blessings, protection, and well-being into the lives of all those who read or pursue its sacred texts. All that is required is worthy desire, the certainty of a trusting heart, and an open and receptive mind. Unlike other books, including the great mystical texts of other traditions, the Zohar is written in a kind of a code, through which metaphors, parables, and cryptic language at first conceal, but ultimately reveal the forces of creation. As electrical current is concealed in a wire and cable before disclosing itself as an illuminated light bulb, the spiritual power and light of the Zohar and the Creator is wrapped in allegory and symbolism throughout the Aramaic texts of the Zohar. And while many books contain information and knowledge, the Zohar both expresses and embodies spiritual light. The very letters on its pages have the power to bring spiritual wisdom and positive energy into every area of our lives. As we visually scan the Aramaic texts and study the accompanying insights that appear in English, spiritual power is summoned from above, and worlds tremble as light is sent forth in response. Its primary purpose is not only to help us acquire wisdom, but to draw light from the upper worlds and to bring sanctification into our lives. Indeed, the book itself is the most powerful of all tools for cleansing the soul and connecting to the light of the Creator. As you open these pages, therefore, do not make understanding in the conventional sense your primary goal. Although you may not have knowledge of Aramaic, look first at the Aramaic text, or listen, as we're going to be doing in the class, before reading the English. Do not be discouraged by the difficulties with comprehension. Instead, open your heart to the spiritual transformation of the Zohar is offering you. Ultimately, the Zohar is an instrument for refining the individual soul and removing darkness from the earth, and for bringing well-being and blessings to all those who dwell on the planet. Its purpose is not only to make us intellectually wise, good evening, but to make us spiritually pure. Let there be light.
Amen.
Okay, so this week we are in the portion of VaYera, which is the fourth portion, the weekly portion from the book of Bereshit. So we've been kind of jumping into the month of Marcheshvan, or month of Scorpio, a couple weeks ago, which is basically the beginning of, after we went through the process of the month of Tishrei, the Libra, all the different tools we learn how to be effective creators in our reality. So the month of Scorpio is actually the jumpstart of the year. So we are, as you can probably tell, there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of pressure in this month, which actually allow us to really exercise all the spiritual tools that we learn. It's like, if you were preparing for the Olympic Games, so you have the period time of preparation, and then you actually have to go in to be on the on the arena So you have the opportunity, what we call the friction. And the friction is what really brings about the best quality of all the training you've been through. Without friction, we can produce sparks of light. So the month of Scorpio is the kind of, could be very extreme force of friction, but when we're faced with these tools, we actually know how to minimize the damage, because it can be very challenging, but we can become much more conscious in our ability to draw the light and create the reality that we want. And that's really, ultimately, that's why we're here for. The Zohar purpose is to really give us the tools to be effective creators and co-creators in this reality. Just before I continue, I want to do a little L'chaim, Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, asher kol yom bidvarav.
Amen. The water of Mount Shasta.
The blessed water of Mount Shasta.
Yes, and it's your portion of the birthday, so happy birthday, Baruch.
Yes, thank you.
Your Hebrew birthday.
It is my weekly portion of my birth, VaYera. VaYera actually means, and it comes from the word Yir'ah, which means awe. And it's always happening on the middle of the month of Scorpio. And this teaching have a lot of very famous biblical stories. But we're not here to discuss biblical stories or historical events. So there's a lot of stories that we're very familiar with a lot of codes that pertain to a lot of very powerful tools that we want to learn today. We will not be able to cover all of them because there's a lot.
And we're going to have a drawings today.
Yeah, we have a board, so we can do a little bit of drawing and make it a little bit more exciting for everybody. So the portion of VaYera, like I said, it means it comes from the word Yir'ah, which means awe, but also have to see. It comes from the word Lir'ot, to see. But like we learned in many different classes in the previous weeks, that the idea of vision or seeing things, it's not pertaining to physical sight. We're here to discuss a different kind of seeing. It repeats many times, different classes. And in this week, it have a very unique understanding of this concept. So before we jump into the text, just want to cover a few general ideas that we're going to talk about today. And the idea have to do, first of all, there's, those stories were written 4,000 years ago. And, we hear a lot of stories in the news, in historical events, but very few really remain with us for such a long time. And we ask ourselves, how come 4,000 years later, the Bible or the Torah is still the #1 selling book? And there's something about the stories which is eternal. So it's really not about what happened or didn't happen 4,000 years ago. It's really what's the message for us. And as we can see today, it's very relevant to what's going on in the world. So in the stories of the Torah, which means in Hebrew instruction, Torah means instruction or guidance. So there's a few very famous stories. The first story that we hear of is the birth of Isaac. And then we hear about the binding of Isaac. We also have the story about Sodom and Gomorrah. And we have different appearances of angels that appeared to Abraham, which is the main character in the story. Once they appeared two angels that help him to save his brother-in-law from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And also then 3 angels appear to him that are in the midst of his very powerful revelation that we're also going to learn what kind of revelation we can harness into our own lives. And again, don't get caught up in the stories. These are all codes. And the Abraham is a code. The events in Sodom and Gomorrah is a code. Isaac is a code. It's all codes. And we're going to discuss some of them as much as time will permit to us. So really what we want to see is how these messages are pertaining to us. So I want to go back to last week, which actually we didn't have the class, but I want to kind of review the character of Abraham. So like I said, we're in the 4th portion of the book of Bereshit, which translates to Genesis. And from the story of Adam and Eve past 10 generations until we have the story of Noah. And from Noah we have another 10 generations until we hear the story of Abraham. And very little is actually told to us in the context of the Torah, even the Zohar. There's not much to cover. But then when we reach the story of Abraham, then we have very extensive information. A lot of things are happening. And each one of us pertain a lot of very deep secrets. So like we learned, the name Abraham is not just a character, it's actually a code name. For those of you who are familiar with the word Merkava, right? Merkava, what we call spelled like Merkava. Merkava, it's not a spaceship. It could be a spaceship, but a lot of people refer to it as a spaceship, as a light object. But actually, Merkava comes from the Hebrew word le'arkiv, which means to construct. And Abraham is actually the first Merkava. All the different, what we call the sages or the matriarchs or the patriarchs, they're considered a Merkava. Why we call a person a Merkava? Because this person embodies a very, very unique quality. And when we talk about them in Merkava, we also refer to them in the tree of life. So Abraham is the first Merkava of the tree of life that we're actually going through the stories of the Zohar. So Abraham appears here, and he establishes in the world the channel or the Sphira of mercy. Okay? So when we talk about Abraham, he's the chariot of mercy. He's the Merkava of mercy. Then when we talk about Yitzchak, Yitzchak established the energy of Gvura, the left column. And then we go further, Yaakov is Tiferet, the middle column. Then we go further, we have Aaron and Moses. Aaron is the chariot of Hod. Hello, Hod. And then we have Moses or Moshe. We have actually a real Hod in our class. And also we have Abraham, which is the Sephirah of Netzach. Then we have Yesod, which is Joseph. And the last one of Malchut, physical reality, is King David. So again, don't take the stories literally, because we're here to really study what qualities we can embody into our lives and how to utilize them to make our life more efficient and make this world a more exciting and beautiful place to live. I think this is what we really all of us want. So when we talk about the story of Abraham was a very kind of go a little bit of the background, because we didn't have a chance to talk about it last week. We didn't have the class. Abraham was born in a very auspicious time. He was born in Sumeria 4,000 years ago. It was a very, very unique civilization. The Sumerians, they were very heavily into idol worship. And their language actually did not have any past or future tense. So there was no words like hope. There was no hope like optimism. There's only what's happening right now. And there was a very prominent abuse of power in those days. And Abraham was actually born into this reality. Interesting enough, he was quite a VIP in those days. He was a very known astrologer, and his awakening happened to him when he was in his 70s. Quite, in our terms, in a very late bloomer. But nevertheless, very powerful awakening. And really what we want to embody from the quality of Abraham is what made him so different. Because we know that whatever he realized, we can realize for ourselves, because we're not so much different today from the cultural civilization of idol worship and the abuse of power, as we can see in Standing Rock, we can see with the banking system. There's a lot of corruption going on, there's a lot of abuse of power. So Abraham, his awakening was that there is actually one governing force in the universe, and that was really against his civilization, because he was a son of a major idol worshiper who was actually building idols. And there's a very famous story that kind of initiated his path to get out of this culture and to go to a place where he can really embody this quality of one source creator. And the story is that his father was actually selling those statues of different gods and idols and deities. And Abraham, one day, he entered his shop and he broke all the sculptures in the shop, except one, the biggest one. Broke them all down. And then when his father came into the shop, he said, "Who did that?" So he said, "He did that." He pointed on this big sculpture, because he knew that his father, if he really believes in the power of those deities, he would not say a thing, because if he says, "I cannot believe," it means that his entire belief system is false. So he did not admit anything, but I think they both knew the truth. So that was kind of his awakening. It's a beautiful story. And we're not going to go into all the different details, what happened on his beginning of his journey, etc. But what we're actually learning is a very profound secret about really the power of our awareness. So I'm going to start to read from the Zohar. I'm going to get deeper into the study. Now, for those of you who joined for the first time, I read the text in Aramaic, and then we have translation in English, and then we're going to understand what it's actually talking about. So verse 1 from the Zohar. רבי חייא פתח, הניצנים נראו בארץ, עת הזמיר הגיע, וקול התור נשמע בארצנו. הניצנים נראו בארץ, כד ברע, קודשא בריחו, על מה? יהב בארעה כל חילה דהתחזי לה, וחולה הווה בארעה, ולה אפיקת איבין בעלמה, עד דהתברי אדם. כיוון דהתברי אדם, כולה התחזי בעלמה, וארעה, גליעת איבהה, וחילאה דתפקדו בה. Translation. Rabbi Chia opened a discussion. It is written, the flowers appeared on the earth, the time of the singing of the birds has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land, from the Song of Songs. The flowers appeared on the earth. It means that when the Holy One, blessed be He, created the world, He endowed the earth with appropriate powers, so that everything was in the earth, but it did not produce any fruit until Adam, the first human being, was created. As soon as Adam was created, everything in the earth became visible. That is, the earth began to reveal the powers and produce and products that were implanted within it. And then it was said, the flowers appeared on the earth. So this verse actually pertains to really if you go back 4 weeks ago at the beginning of the book of Bereshit, Genesis, why human beings were created. And we used very important terms in previous classes, which means shamayim, ve'aretz. Shamayim means the skies or the heavens, and the aretz means the earth. But as we all know, we're not talking about heaven and earth, we're talking about codes. So Shamayim is a code name for a purpose. What's the purpose for human beings to be created? In Aretz, it means what is our desire that we cultivate to fulfill our purpose. So that's what it means. Aretz is actually from the word in Hebrew, ratzon, which means desire. So this verse actually taking us back to the original blueprint why human beings were created. What is the purpose of us being created, and how we align our desire with our purpose, right? That's what we need, because when you buy a product, when you go to the store, you always have a manual, operating manual, especially it's an electronic device. So in order for you to understand how the product works, you get the instructions from the manufacturer how to use the product in the most efficient way. And more so for us human beings. Because for us to understand what's our purpose, and I'm not talking about the meaning of life, like a lot of people are confusing what's the meaning of life. The right question to ask is what's the purpose of human beings to be created. So the Zohar reveals to us what is the purpose of human beings to be created. So what we learned in the previous weeks is really what's the most important thing to understand the purpose of creation is to have the awareness that there is actually a purpose. I said previously that when you understand the structure of the body, you know that the brain, the heart, all the different organs are perfectly arranged inside the body. We really have no free will how the body is arranged. We don't have free will that the heart is on the left side, not on the right side. Why the nose is here, why we have 2 eyes, why not 4 eyes, like some animals, spiders, I think they have like 8 or something like that eyes, etc. There is structure. So we have no free will in the structure, we have no free will in design. We breathe in oxygen. We are inhaling, we're exhaling. There's not much free will here. So really the understanding of our purpose can actually cultivate within us the desire to align ourselves for the purpose. Now, we also learned in the Zohar previous weeks that what's the purpose of human beings to be created? For us to enjoy the creation. We're here to enjoy the creation. However, even the enjoyment, as we spoke and we learned in previous weeks, it's not just physical pleasures, like a lot of us are maybe getting the wrong idea that we're here just to grab as much physical pleasure as we can. Enjoying the physicality is beautiful, and it's part of our being in physical reality, but it's not a purpose for us. The purpose is to achieve is really the higher pleasure, which is resulting from our connection to the source. So once we understand the purpose, then we can cultivate our desire to align our connection to source, which is the highest pleasure. When I talk about Zohar, many times compares physical pleasures to spiritual pleasure, like for example, sexual orgasm. The Zohar says that sexual orgasm is only 1/60th of the spiritual, 1/60 of the spiritual pleasure we can attain. 1/60. It's very. Can you imagine? I know a lot of us, we think that sexual orgasm is great, which it is great, but multiplied 60 times, it's not just a physical pleasure, it's beyond. So it gives us some understanding not to be satisfied just by accumulating or pursuing physical pleasures. Food is a great pleasure. Sleeping, having relationships, having children, etc. But it's always reminding us that this is what we're going to discuss here today. Abraham was the first in his generation who actually realized what's the purpose of what's the purpose of our creation, and he made the covenant. In Hebrew, it's the milah. It's the covenant with source to fulfill that. So Abraham is actually the download of the software. When we study those texts, we receive the downloads to awaken within us the Abraham within us. It's not about male or female. It's about the quality of the person that is committed to have the covenant. It's like when you marry your partner, when you have marriage or when you have a relationship, when you sign a contract in business, you establish some kind of a commitment. And more so, establishing and maintaining the commitment with source. All of us, we're going through challenges, and many times, including myself, I don't know sometimes what's the best way to go about. Not always have the answers. Sometimes I ask questions, sometimes I don't have the answers when I want the answers. Sometimes there is lack, like, when you have a relationship, you go back home, you have a husband, you have a wife, you have a relationship. So you ask questions, and sometimes, usually when there's communication, the answers come rather easily. With source, it's a little bit different because source is not something that we can see, we can touch, we can smell with our physical senses. So this portion of VaYera, as we say, VaYera is to cultivate, to remind us about how we can see, how we cultivate the seeing or the vision through awe. That's what really the code is about, okay? So the other thing that this verse is talking about is really, it talks about potential. When we talk about, we spoke about the importance of awareness. So the purpose of creating human beings on this planet is to use our awareness to bring the potential into manifestation. Which means when it talks about the flowers appeared on the earth. Now, if you go back to the story of Genesis, the story of the flowers appeared on the earth actually appears again after we're told that the plants were created. But what the Zohar is teaching us, that the potential become reality only after human beings came to the planet, which have to do with the secrets or the teachings of quantum physics. We learn in quantum physics that if something happens, but there's nobody to witness that, to document it, to declare it, it doesn't exist. Which means if you don't know about it, you're not present, you don't know if it actually happens. So human beings were put on the earth, we learn the Zohar, to say things, to create with our speech. So only when humans came and actually they declared that this is, they gave name, the human being, the Adam, the story of Adam, he gave names to all the plants, to all the animals, to different minerals, to the rocks, etc. By saying, by declaring, we're actually bringing forth from the potential to the manifestation. This is one of the things we want to talk about today, is the power of our speech. So we spoke earlier, the word abracadabra, which means, remember what it means, abracadabra? I create what I speak. Again, we create what we speak. So the word speaking or speech is extremely, extremely important, and this is really one of the things that distinguish us as human beings from animals, from plants, and from minerals. They do not speak. They communicate, but they don't have words. Why language was created? Because we can communicate also telepathically. The reason we have language, so we can create with language. And more so, we want to be conscious creators with our language, because we can say certain things which are not very positive, we will still create. We can bring negative outcomes. So we are here to really to awaken the conscious awareness that we want to create positive things. It starts, of course, with the thought, and then how we manifest that into speech. Now we learn in the Zohar that there are actually 4 levels from potential to actuality. The first level is the potential of potential. So let's say you have an idea, is the potential of the potential. The second phase is the actuality of the potential. So it means, let's say I have an idea for a building, so then you draw the building like architectural design for the building. So then you bring the potential into actuality of the potential. There is a blueprint. The third level is the potential to actual. You actually start to create, you start to go about, to move, to gather the resources, the team, or whatever you need to do to actually to bring it to manifestation. The fourth phase is the actuality, the actual of the actual, which is actually the materialization of the potential into physical reality. Why physical reality is so important? And it is important because we're here in the world of Malchut, what we call the world of kingdom. And when we have, I'm not dealing with those three levels. We're just talking from Chesed, Gvoa, Tiferet, etc., down to Malchut in the system of the seven. Now we came here to really master the system of the seven. It is not, like we said in previous classes, it's not the absolute system. We have actually beyond that, we have the 8, which is the infinity. But in order for us to understand infinity, we want to actually master the world of finity, which is the world of physicality. When we talk about the code name of Elohim, Elohim is the world of nature. So really what defines our ability as creators in this reality is how we can draw from the upper worlds and how we can bring that to manifestation, the physical reality, in the most effective way. Because the most simple example in relationship, if you love your partner but you don't bring them to physicality, like through words, I love you, or you bring flowers, or go to a date, or have physical contact, if it's just the potential of the potential, there's very little likelihood to sustain the relationship, because we're here to also to draw into physicality that potential. Otherwise it's not going to be sustained. It's not etheric idea. So the physicality is really what allows us to create the circuitry of the energy from the upper worlds to the lower worlds. Okay? Now Avraham, what the code name of Avraham is, gives us the understanding of the teaching that he's the first emanation of a perfected human being. Now, I'm not saying he's the first in the entire history of the planet, because we know that we are learning in the system of 5,000. We're right now in the 5,777 years. So it's not like the world was created 5,777 years ago, but we began a certain cycle of awareness. So this cycle of awareness represents a certain progress of our consciousness as human beings. So when we talk about Abraham, is within that cycle. Okay, we're focusing on that cycle that actually lasts 7,000 years. When we reach the year 6,000, it's like you reach the Friday. We're getting to Shabbat, which is the 7th millennium, which is have a complete different energetic potential than the previous 6,000 years. So we're just entering Friday afternoon on this time scale. So Abraham gives us, like I said, the download of the software to understand what it means to be the first perfected being. But there's more to that. Now, when we spoke about last week, the portion of Lech Lecha literally means go outside, go to yourself. But Lech Lecha was also a code. And the code was, if you take the word Lech Lecha, it's actually Lech is spells like that, but in Hebrew is written like that. It's a 50. The numerical value is 50. Lecha is also like that. It's also 50. So it's the world of 50-50. What it means is, in order for us to start the process of really connecting to our higher purpose, is to awaken the desire below. Because in the world of creation, because of the universe of free will, source or God or creator, whatever you want to call it, cannot force on us the desire to perfect our understanding or awareness. We have to cultivate the desire from below. And when we cultivate that desire, then we basically draw from the upper worlds the necessary energy, the tools, the resources, etc., that will allow us to manifest what we want to create. So the understanding of this perfectionism means that we want to cultivate the desire. because the desire is really what is going to create the movement and the actions. Without desire, there's nothing that is going to happen. Okay? Anybody have questions?
No.
No? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's continue to verse number 2. כגבנדה שמיים לא יהבו חילין להרעה עד דעתה אדם ההד וכל שיח השדה טרם יהיה בארץ וכל עשב השדה טרם יצמח כי לא המטיר אדוני אלוקים על הארץ ואדם אין לעבוד את האדמה יתמרו כל אינון תולדין ולה יתגלון ושמיה יתעכבו דלה המטירו על הרעה בגין דאדם אין דלה ישתכח ולה יתברי וכולה יתעכב בגיני כיוון דהתחזי אדם מיד הניצנים נראו בארץ וכל חיילין דהתמרו יתגלעו ויתייהבו בה. Translation. Similarly, the heavens did not give any powers to the earth until humankind appeared. As it is written, and no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet grown, for Hashem Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth. And there was not a man or human being to till the ground, from the book of Bereshit. All the offspring and products were concealed in the earth. They did not appear. And the heavens were prevented from pouring rain on the earth because humankind did not yet exist. Because it had not yet been created, the revelation of all things was delayed. As soon as humankind appeared, however, the flowers appeared on the earth, quote, and all the hidden and concealed powers were now revealed. So as we learn, humanity is sort of like an experiment, ongoing experiment. We have human version 1.0, which is Adam. It received a certain quality, certain attributes. The experiment, it went so far, and then we reached the generation of Noah. And then again, humanity went in a certain direction. It was still not, the experiment was not quite very effective. We had the flood, humanity went through a reset, then we have Abraham. So Abraham is kind of the 3.0 version of humanity. This is kind of what happened. And again, when we talk about the understanding of creation, we are here, we're mentioned in the Zohar the word siach. Siach, I'm going to write it down. Siach. Siach means two things. It means one thing which is like a plant, like a bush. But also it means speech. So our speech, it became like the activation code to bring the potential of creation into manifestation, to materialization. That's why we put on the earth to use our speech in a way to activate things. In other words, we're here to generate magic with our words, abracadabra. Okay, so this is what it's telling us. So it talks about that the plants of the earth did not come out until human being came to the earth. It's not because they were just waiting for us. It's because we are here to activate the potential. The
just
life
by
force.
name it, we activated by giving them names?
Or the first part was actually to name it. To name it is to activate, but then also to start to bless things and to enjoy them. That's why when we eat food, we bless on it. Because when we bless, we activate the sparks of light. When you eat an apple, you're not just enjoying the flavor of the apple or the vitamins and the nutrients, the fibers, etc. But there's sparks of light. There's energy, especially if it's a living food. If it's not like been processed or killed or anything like that, but if it's a living food, preferably plant-based, as we always like to talk in this class, it have the life force, and there's sparks of energy that when we bless that, we can actually retrieve this energy. It's not just about enjoying the food physically, there's actual energy within the food. So the blessing was given to us as a tool to activate those sparks of light within matter, including all physical things that we do. That's why when we bless on the bread or the wine, we have the physical kind of hardware. Because when we bless, we bring the energy, we materialize the energy into physical matter. Okay? Let's see. So what the Zohar is teaching us is the power of the speech and what really determines our success. How can we really be successful in this reality? first of all in our own lives. So why it's important, why we say what we talk. Our speech is so important because speech have power. Speech have frequency. Doesn't matter what kind of language you speak, but it delivers some amount of energy. So how important it is what we speak to ourselves, because we're in constant dialogue with ourselves. How detrimental it can be, God forbid, if we speak negatively about ourselves, or even more so speaking about ourselves to others, or speaking bad about others. It always has such a very negative effect. So we learn here that the power of speech is actually really, really detrimental to our success, to be really successful creators in this reality. Because like we said, we came here to enjoy. So if you want to be a successful artist, of course you have the talent, you enjoy doing art, or you want to be a filmmaker, etc. Whatever it is that really brings you pleasure, it starts with what kind of dialogue you're having with yourself. You can be a great artist, but if you convince yourself that you're not a great artist, and you're not here really do much with your art, there's very little likelihood that you will enjoy being an artist, and even more so, the very little likelihood that other people will enjoy, because you're here to really enjoy and share your enjoyment with others, so they can receive this energy of your enjoyment. So the blessing really starts with the what kind of dialogue, or in Hebrew, siach, what kind of dialogue you're having with yourself. Okay, so that's really what it's about.
It's a beautiful quote of Albert Einstein that he said, "Your success depends on how you are excited about your success than how you have a fear about failure, your failure. So which one is more kind of powerful in your reality, that's going to determine your success."
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're excited about what you do, you wake up in the morning and you're really very happy to get out of the bed, because you really have the passion, which is the engine that drives you to move forward and to take the actions, to take the movement, to go to the people, to have the resources to really materialize all those things.
Yeah, lots of people want success, but I've heard many times, "Oh, I'm so afraid of the failure. I want to do this, but I'm so afraid of the failure." So it's very beautiful. Einstein said that you need to just measure which one is higher in your reality, the fear of failure or just excitement of that what you want to do, about what you want to really live. So yeah, it's just their conversation, like you said, in our mind. Wow.
The excitement is a very, very important attribute, is the fire, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. The fire is a very extremely important attribute of, in Hebrew it's the word itlavut, from comes from the word lehava, which means fire. The itlavut is really what we want to keep cultivating.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to talk about the power of conversation in a more relevant what's going on in America right now, what happened with the elections. A lot of people in this country, first of all, including myself, we were very shocked to the results of the election. But then I started something really shifted inside of me before I was going to study the portion of this week, because I realized I was very reactive at the beginning. But then I said to myself, okay, hold on. How can I really apply what I'm learning in Kabbalah and the Zohar into my reality? Because I realized at the beginning my conversation was very negative about the outcome. I thought, okay. Then I started to ask myself questions. Why does this really, what kind of opportunity I see here? And then I shifted my conversation. Actually, I saw a great opportunity. And interesting enough, I was listening to a very short video of 10 minutes of Abraham Hicks, which is Abraham. Interesting, we talk about Abraham, by Esther Hicks, who is the person who channels the teachings of this.
Abraham, who channeled by Esther Hicks.
Exactly.
Yes.
Abraham channeled by Esther. Exactly. Thank you. So they were talking. I posted also on my wall in Facebook that they're saying that this is actually the best election in the history of America. I was like, wow, really? That's quite a pretentious title for a video. But then I was listening to them, and then actually it's exactly what I was thinking. It was very much aligned with my kind of shift that happened to me the night after the morning after the elections, because what I saw here, I shifted the conversation because I realized this is an opportunity for us to step into our power. Why do I mean by that? Because the disappointment of the people from the result of the election came only from one point. The disappointment came because people were expecting for the Messiah to come. It's what they
The
call
Savior.
the Savior, yes. It's the Savior or the Messiah syndrome. And the Messiah did not come. So for some people, Donald Trump represents quite the opposite of the Messiah. But then I said, okay, am I making... I mean, I didn't vote for neither Hillary nor for Trump, just to make it clear. I'm not vouching for any of them. I didn't feel like any of them really have the qualities that I would see in a leader, so I did not vote for them. But what I did vote, in my own consciousness, my own awareness, is how I can use this opportunity and also share this realization with others that we become the creators of our reality. Because this is an opportunity for us to stop putting the burden or the responsibility of making the life we want on other people. So what Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks means that is actually it's an opportunity to go inside and to reveal for ourselves the creator within. Stop looking outside for the Savior. Because even if he was a Savior, people still crucifying him.
Yeah.
I mean, people are crucifying Donald Trump all around.
Jesus was the Savior. They still killed him.
Well, he was not. I mean, Jesus was still not. I don't think he was a Savior, because the whole idea of Savior, according to Kabbalah, is really goes against what we learn. We cannot put somebody outside of ourselves to be a creator. So when we say this person or that person is the son or the daughter of God more than I am, it means he's the middleman between me and Source.
Well, yeah, the Moses took the people from Egypt, but they still continue complaining.
But we're not here to discuss. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that Jesus said that he was the only begotten Son of God. I think when he was asked if he was a child of God, he said to the Romans, he said, "I'm no more the child of God than you are.
Exactly.
We're all the children of God."
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. This is very much aligned with what we read in the Zohar and Kabbalah, that we're all children of God. And if we put, there's nothing wrong to put a leader, but if we put a leader as our creator instead of Source, we're missing the whole point. So Donald Trump is a wonderful wake-up call for all of us. First of all, to see what kind of dialogue we're having with ourselves. Because if you see there's so much negativity going on still out there, people are demonstrating, saying a lot of bad things, but they're really missing the opportunity here to become creators. So I invite all of you, whether you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump, just don't put the whole burden of your reality on another person. Don't make another person your creator. You're the creator. See the opportunity to go inside and see what kind of dialogue you're having with yourself, and to step up the level of dialogue you're having between you and Source. So this is really it's a wonderful opportunity, and I agree that we never had a better election in the United States than this, because this election really forces us, if we see that with the right perspective, to become the creators. So I absolutely recommend to listen to this video. It's 10 minutes. It's really beautiful. So, okay. Also, what I want to talk about, we're reading verse number 2 about the power of our awareness. Hi, welcome. Please come on in. And how critical it is to understand that our ability to speak, like we say abracadabra, is to really to materialize things in our reality. Now, just to give you from an example why our awareness in materialization is so important, if you take some examples from Jewish culture. And the reason I'm talking about Judaism, because Judaism is the faith that is the closest one to Kabbalah. Kabbalah was before Judaism, but Judaism adopted most of the teachings of Kabbalah. I want to give you an example. Now, why is that the idea of the thing of seeing things with the physical eyes and declaring them, it's important. For example, in Jewish law, there is such a thing, circumstantial evidence. There is no. You need to have 2 witnesses for everything. If there's only 1 witness, it doesn't hold in court. You must have 2 witnesses. Even if a person left the room, 1 person left the room, there's somebody's dead in the room, he's not going to be charged in murder unless there were 2 witnesses. That's why in Jewish law, very, very rarely people are executed. It's almost never happened, execution. So you need to have, besides the fact that it's against really the whole essence of what we learn. Because when you execute a person, do you teach them a lesson?
No.
The death penalty, you don't punish people. there is no penalty because the person is not going to learn anything when you kill them. If you want to learn, if you want to teach a person a lesson, you have to balance the energy. That's why in the court we have the system of the scales, because the purpose of the judge is to balance the energy. You need to understand why the person did that, and we always go to taking responsibility as a society. We never blame the person. We first of all ask ourselves why this person why this thing is happening in our community. What we did wrong? Why we didn't know enough to prevent things like that to happen?
Or what we need to correct.
What we need to correct. So the idea of physical evidence is very, very important. Also in Jewish marriage, when they sign the ketubah, which is the marriage agreement, you need to have two witnesses. Because if two people didn't see that, it didn't happen. Like we say, if the tree falls in the forest and nobody saw that, did the tree really fall? No. Nobody saw that. So how can you say the tree fell? I mean, if I say I saw the tree falling, but that's what we need to understand. We need to have two witnesses so other people can share the same reality.
So if only one person saw the tree fall, then it didn't fall?
I thought it's about does it make noise or not?
Or something like that. But the whole idea is that we need to have enough people that will share this reality. You can say the tree fell. It's possible. And you can take a photo of the tree falling. Now
Today is easier.
Today is easier to have the tools. So today it makes the burn is much easier because we have cameras, we have surveillance, etc.
Yeah.
But the understanding is that the witnesses, in those days we didn't have the technology. So the witness is the person that really enforces the physical materialization of things. So that's why it's important. That's why we talk about siach, the idea of conversation, that we declare things and we share it with others to bring it to materialization. That's what's the important
Exactly
here.
what we are doing here.
Yeah, exactly.
You're creating entity and reality right now.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
The importance of that, this is one of you guys missed the beginning, but the importance of how our speech is detrimental. First of all, what kind of a conversation we're having with ourselves, and also what conversation we're having with ourselves with others and about others. The conversation is critical. Mm-hmm. That's why we say that the human beings, when we appeared on the earth, we started to materialize things by the power of the speech. So that's one of the tools we're learning for to be successful. What kind of conversation we have in our mind and what we speak.
Well, linguistic programming is one of the biggest thing because, when people talk about themselves saying, "Oh, I have a bad knee," or I don't have money, they're affirming their reality, and that will continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's always possibilities to speak in a positive way that will reaffirm change or just call in that reality that you want to step into.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Very important. So this week is an opportunity to reevaluate what kind of conversation we're having with ourselves. We all have that constant conversation all the time. So it's a good time to reevaluate that. Verse number 3. עת הזמיר הגיע, דאית תקן תיקונה דתושבחן לזמרה כמי קודשא בריחו, מה דלה אשתכח עד לה יתברי אדם. וכל התור נשמע בארצנו, דם מילה דקודשא בריחו, דלה אשתכח בעלמה, עד דתברי אדם, כיוון דאשתכח אדם קולה אשתכח. Translation. Quote, the time of the singing of the birds has come. It means that a recital was composed of songs and praises to the Holy One, blessed be He. This was not done before humankind was created. And then another quote, and the voice of a turtle dove is heard in our land. It's all codes. This is the word of the Holy One, blessed be He, which did not exist in the world before humankind was created. But as soon as humankind appeared, everything appeared. So what the Zohar is teaching us is that we learn... Yeah?
Do you know where is the Muskan put a hit?
Is it cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right here. Excuse me, guys. I put on. It's cold here a little bit. We're in Mount Shasta. Let me turn the heat here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 70 is good or 72?
72.
72. Okay. All right, 72.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we spoke about the purpose of creation. We spoke about two terms. We spoke about the purpose and the desire. When we are reminding ourselves what's the purpose of human beings to be created and how we can align our desire, which be manifested through the speech and through the actions, with our purpose of creation. So what we learn in this verse is that the purpose of creation, we spoke about is to benefit who were created. All of us here to enjoy the creation. That's why it's critical that we do what we love. Because if we don't do what we love, what's the chances we enjoy our creation? Right? And how many of us know the stories that people are raised in certain families that, you know, you want to do certain things and they tell you, no, you have to. Yeah, I think everybody can raise their hands. No, you shouldn't do this, you should do this, because they know better what you do, what you need to do.
Well, that's what they want from you.
They want from you, but there are a lot of these kind of circumstances, people are convinced not to do what they love and become miserable. Whether it's arranged marriage, whether it's forcing people to go to study certain things they don't want to study. And some people wake up, some people don't wake up, or they wake up very late in life to realize that this is not what they want to do. So it's critical to understand that we are here, the purpose is to enjoy the creation. That's what it means, Shamayim va'aretz. And the aretz is the desire. So when you wake up in the morning with a desire to do what you love, you're very much fulfilling your purpose to be created. And when other people are enjoying what you create, that's really the highest level, because this is what we're learning from the code. Abraham is a code, not to be taken literally. Okay? So therefore our biggest and most important goal of creation is to enjoy it, like we said. And that's why our speech should reflect that you're here to enjoy. Because if we don't, the blessing becomes curses. If you wake up in the morning, you don't enjoy creation, you're not fulfilling your purpose. Very simple. You wake up in the morning, it's like, you know, I want to do this, but I don't do this. So a person starts to develop all this kind of negativity about creation. So that's when their life, instead of becoming a blessing, becomes a curse. Okay? Anybody have questions about that so far? No? I need to go to a restaurant right now. Excuse me. A lot of tea.
Tea break. Would you like some tea? You can have here. We have hot water and tea.
Alright.
Yeah, go ahead. You can.
There's a chilly walk over here.
Yeah, you. What happened to your shoes?
Oh, they're right here.
Oh, okay.
He's got some.
Mine, no. Sure. No, because then it's going to. Yeah. You can talk meantime.
I'm not the
There's
teacher.
cups.
Oh, okay.
You have extra cup here if you want.
Peach level.
Okay, we're back. Excuse us for the little interruption. So, and why it's important to realize this principle that to enjoy the creation, because, like we said, the name of the portion is VaYera, comes from the word awe. Okay? Now, when we approach creation or our life with awe, we bring blessings. We create a vessel in this reality with our desire to really appreciate the creation. Because I think each and every one of us who watches this streaming have some kind of a talent. Everybody has some kind of a gift, special gift or special talent that we can acknowledge. But maybe soon. Yeah, I'll take some.
No.
What's that?
It's a pear leather.
Amen.
Wow, you made it?
No, my neighbors.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the good about the class. You can eat it. Like
So-
dehydrated.
Yeah, it is.
Dehydrated? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many of us can take the opportunity right now or later on, take a step back and to look in those special gifts that each and every one of us has. not just to look at the gifts from a place of just appreciating the gift, but appreciating the source that gave us the gift, and how to realize that this gift was given to us so we can enjoy this life. If you enjoy being a chef, or you enjoy making music, you enjoy dancing or writing or create whatever it is, or enjoy fixing cars or building cars, whatever it is, this is the purpose for you to really enjoy the creation. This is one of the vehicles that is given to you to enjoy the creation. And when you are becoming a source of sharing this gift with others, you will receive much higher blessings, and you draw much higher blessings in this creation. Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. There are challenges. But coming with this realization through awe and appreciation to this gift, why it was given to you, so you can enjoy it and share it with others. It's a very important realization to have, especially in this time. Like we said in the beginning of the class, Avraham as a code name, as the quality, not the historical figure. Don't take it figuratively, literally. Avraham was the first in this cycle of humanity, of this 7,000 years that we're within. He was the first, or he was the Merkava, the chariot, the first one to realize that we are the creators. We are partners in creation. Okay? And we are the creators of our own reality. Not Donald Trump, he's not our creator, not Hillary Clinton, not Bernie Sanders. Because I think a lot of people would feel that the Messiah would come if Bernie Sanders would be elected. Don't you think so? But they will miss the entire point of being creator of this reality. Because it's not a bad thing to have a great quality of a leader. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier before you guys came, that Abraham Hicks have an amazing video.
No, Esther Hicks channeled Abraham.
Yeah, Esther Hicks. I put this video of 10 minutes. They talk that this election is the best election ever in America. Why? Because we are stepping up into our power as creators. We stop looking outside. Okay?
Well, in the Siach, just add a mem, Mashiach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Peach. It's a peach.
Yeah, exactly. And Siach is also Shem, Yefet, V'cham. It's the names of Noach.
Yeah.
So it's these are all codes. They were giving like in
Sons, right?
the sons, but it's not literal sons. When we talk about the story of Noach, we already had the seed level of Siach, of conversation, but the entire generation of Noach was completely destroyed because they were not really. It was like I said earlier that humanity went through like modifications. There was the first prototype was Adam. After 10 generations was Noah. In each generation there was an improvement. So Abraham, he planted the seed of the more perfected human within this cycle.
I wonder who is in our generation.
Well, it's
Nobody.
again, it's not a person. It's about how we utilize, like we said, those Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all these people are all chariots. So it's not about trying to be like them, but it's about what we can learn from them, so we can bring that into our reality and become the creators. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Who are the person? But you can be each and every one of us.
Oh yeah.
But each and every one of us can be all those 7 different chariots to establish the kingdom, the Malchut. Okay? Now, spoke about Abraham Mix. Like we said earlier, Abraham represents the first successful prototype of a human being. Why is he successful? Because, like we said, he was born into a civilization of very harsh judgment. And he established the principle of mercy. How can we become more merciful in our reality, in our environment? What does it mean to be merciful for you? Like compassion. What is it? How does that come to play in your reality? What does it mean?
Put myself in the shoes of others.
Beautiful. That's very important. Yes. Yeah. That's huge. Okay. Thank you. What else?
It means I can't seek retribution for any wrong that's done to me.
Forgiveness. Wow. That's okay. That's beautiful. What else?
Loving your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maya.
Being in a space of service,
Beautiful.
any kind of service.
Yes, beautiful. That's why when we talk about mercy, the right column of mercy, it represents sharing. Abraham, through the stories, again, these are codes, but we talk about how he was always into hospitality. Like everywhere he went, he established a tent that was open in
Yeah.
4 directions, always looking for guests. Why? Because when he had his awakening at the age of 75, when we talk about spiritual awakening, it's a very strong energy of fire. It's like, it's passion, because like when you awaken, like you want to do so many things. But if you don't have an opportunity to share that with people, we can get burned. That's why a lot of people that suddenly they receive a lot of glory or fame or money, it's energy of fire. Like even if you build a power station, there's always water near the power station to cool it off. The water represents mercy. When you talk about fire, left and right column, the fire is the left column. Because a person with high spiritual awakening, they're receiving something suddenly. But this is what we're here to really, the key for what we're talking about, it's not just to receive. When we talk about the purpose and the desire, because the desire is to receive. That's what the left column is. But what Abraham is teaching us is we are learning to receive in order to share. This is really what it's about. When we think about the creation, there's some sort of a paradox that where here Abraham is actually settling here for us. What's the paradox? The paradox is that Source wants to give us more than we can receive, right? So how can we align ourselves with Source that have endless ability to give us? How can we align? Because we're limited in our a certain way. We cannot have the same ability of Source, because Source is endless. So how we can reconcile this paradox? We receive in order to share. So there's constant fluid continuity. So we receive in order to share. So Abraham is the code name for us to awaken the desire to receive in order to share. You know, in Eastern philosophy, there is there's only two, like the yin and the yang. There's only right and left. He's like, don't ask anything for yourself. Or in Western civilization, just take everything for yourself, which is the extremes. But the Zohar is teaching us is the creation of the third column, which is the balance between the two. But it's critical to understand what we're here to receive. That's why it's called Kabbalah. Kabbalah means to receive. Lekabel means to receive. So Abraham is teaching us receive in order to share. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's you receive more talent, so you can share more talent. Receive more money, so you can share more money. Or if you have products, receive more resources so you can distribute more good products to humanity that will benefit others. So it's not about, oh, I don't want to receive for myself. It's bullshit. You know, people say, oh, I just don't want anything for myself. It's a complete lie. Because we're not going to move a finger if there's nothing in it for you. You don't wake up in the morning if you have nothing for you to achieve in a day. So everything is driven by a desire to receive. But the understanding is to receive in order to share. That's what we talk about Isaac soon in a couple of verses. What Isaac is the code name for what? What's the code name for? Okay?
So what's the third aspect you said?
The mid column.
Oh, the mid.
So we're going to talk soon about Isaac. Abraham is the mercy. But as we learn in the stories further, that even Abraham learned that he needs the left column too. You cannot just be always just giving, because you're going to become a doormat. Even with the desire to receive, have to be balanced with the desire, with the boundary, because judgment or left column is also to put boundaries. You know, if you're in a relationship which is people just take from you, at some point you're going to be depleted. And you all find yourself in certain situations in life that you were in business or in a relationship, whatever, people just want to take from you. And you didn't know to put the boundaries for whatever reasons. So the Isaac is the boundary, is the left column. Okay? And then Jacob represents the middle column, which is the balance between the two. So it's not, yes?
Well, in the Taoism, that is like before China was China, over 5,000 years ago, they believe that it starts with the circle. I think it's called Wu Qing or something like that. That's the stages of creation. So it's the one circle, oneness, unity, then the yin yang, and then 3 circles joined together, kind of like the peace banner at the chai shop.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's from there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then it goes to different, manifestation of creation of different planets, galaxies, blah blah blah. But in consciousness, it's the 3 that actually brings it into matter.
Okay, so that's very much along with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's why I shared.
Awesome.
It's like the mother, father, and the child. There's a,
Creation
triality.
force,
Yeah. So So the three column is very it's detrimental to understanding the principles of success in this reality. Not just to be givers, not just to be takers, to be receivers in order to share and to know when to balance the energies. How are we doing with the time, by the way?
We
Nine,
good.
10.
9:10.
9:10. Okay, we have to hurry up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to also mention that the word yir'ah in Hebrew, I'll use the board a little bit here. Yir'ah. Yir'ah, it means it's spelled like that. It comes from Sphira. We know that we have 7 openings in the face. We have the ears, we have the nose, we have the mouth, etc. So the mouth is the materialization, Sfirat Malchut. The mouth, when we talk, this is actually the tool. Like if we have the system of the 7. Hi, welcome. So we have the mouth. The mouth is the physical, is the manifestation, the materialization. Abracadabra. But you know what it means?
I create what I speak.
Thank you. Exactly. So the eyes are the connection to the Sphira of Bina. Right here, Bina. So when we talk about this week about the portion of Vayera, is our connection to Bina. So what is Bina? Bina, I'm going to write it here. Bina is the energy storehouse of the universe. So when we cultivate awe and we understand what's the source, where the energy is coming from, we can become much more efficient magicians in this reality, because that's where the energy is coming from. So the understanding of the principle of the Sphira, of Bina. Excuse me, I was confused. I'm talking about Chokhmah. It's a different one. I confused Bina with Chokhmah. I'm sorry. It's a different. Sorry. It's Chokhmah. Chokhmah means wisdom. Okay. Now, speaking of wisdom, for those of you we did last Friday night, we spoke. All of you actually been there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to repeat for those of you who were not there.
So
I want to talk
interesting.
about something very have to do with Chokhmah, with wisdom. In Kabbalah, they talk about 4 code names, and I think it's going to be great to share with everybody. There's 4 sons. When we talk about son in Hebrew, it comes from the word ben, which means bina, which means understanding. But we understand that this understanding have to do with wisdom. Now, the first son is the wise son. The second one is the evil son. The third one is the naive. The fourth one is the one who doesn't know how to ask questions. Okay? Now, when we talk about those 4 sons, first of all, we talk about why it have to do with Chokhmah, because the word in Hebrew for wisdom is Chokhmah. Okay? Now, so these 4 code names reveals for us a tremendous secret, because when we talk about, I think we all want to be wise people. We don't want to be right necessarily. We want to be wise. It was a very successful campaign in Israel a few years ago about preventing accidents on the road, because in Israel they're driving like crazy. So they say on the road, be wise, don't be right. You cannot be wise and right at the same time. Sometimes there's things that you have to say or not to say, because if you say them, you can be right, but you might get into trouble.
Maybe it's not wise to say it.
Sometimes it's not wise to say anything, because if you want to be always right, it's not very wise. Okay, so what we learn here that a wise person is distinct. There's already 3 things that a wise person is not. A wise person is not evil. A wise person is not naive. A wise person it's not a person who doesn't know how to ask questions. Why is it important? Why does that pertain to this week? Because Abraham obviously was a very wise person. He was very, very sharing, because in Hebrew the word for evil is Ra. The code name is Ra. Ra means Ratzon Atzmi, which means selfishness, being selfish. He understands that in order for him or any human being